All right, so we are joined from Oklahoma City by my man, 2017 Velma Jackson alum, member of the United States Air Force, Michael Ford. We thank you so much for joining us today. Um, we got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson High School. We got our seniors here, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools, and as well as our YouTube channel for our college career readiness classes. Just doing some really cool things there in the military, and we'll get to all that because I think it's really awesome some of the things you've already done in your 7 year career there. But before we get to that, talk a little bit about your high school experience because you played football, you ran track, you were in JROTC, you were involved in a lot of things. And if you wanted to, you could have gone to college, but you took a different route to pursue a career differently. So let's take us through that and then your decision process, leaving Velma Jackson to decide to join the Air Force right after high school.
Right. So I made it to Velma Jackson in like 2013, 2014. Uh I started playing sports, and I mean that's kind of what I did the whole time I was at Velma, but like in the back of my head I kind of knew like I didn't want to be a college athlete, and if I'm being honest, like I wasn't getting any scholarships or anything like that. I mean, I was okay at sports or whatever. It was kind of just something to do, something to keep myself out of trouble or whatever.
Yeah.
But I kind of always knew I was going in the military. Um, and going to being in JRTC actually helped out a lot because they kind of gave me more information about the military and what it's like to be in there, and what I needed to do to join. And they even gave me advice on like which branch to join and the difference between the branches, so they could give me a little more insight on which one to choose whenever I did decide to enlist. But yes, senior year, I graduated 2017, and I went straight into the military.
11
Went
days.
straight
That's 11 days after you graduated.
11. It's crazy that you know that, but yeah, 11 days, like right after I graduated, I was like, yeah, I'm about to go, because like uh I didn't want to be a broke college student. Um and I love my family, and I didn't want them to have to like pay for me to go through um college. Like, I was raised by my grandparents. Like, I didn't want to put that on them. So I was like, I'm gonna just go get it on my own. And I don't regret it at all. I don't. I actually did start college for free, and me
Wow.
being younger, 22, 23, I was doing I was partying a lot, and I did something stupid, and I messed up my college opportunities, like my scholarship opportunities in the Air Force. But I got them back after a while because, after that, I just got back on the right track, and had good behavior. But if you're looking to do school, 100% enlist in the military. So, because you can do 4 years, and you can easily, like, while you're working and making money, you can get your bachelor's degree while you're making. You don't have to be a broke college student. You can get money and get your college degree, and it makes you look better in the military, and it helps you rank up when you have like school under your belt, or you show that you've been trying to do school.
Yeah, and then going to tech school actually gives you college credits. So you can basically fall into an associate's before you ever step foot on a college campus. That's what a lot of kids don't understand is that just because you go to the military doesn't mean you cannot go to college. I think that is a very big misconception that needs to change because we've had other Air Force guests that say, look, I went to basic training, I went to tech school. Before I knew it, I had fallen into an associate's and I didn't even realize I had done anything. So you can get those college credits, and then you're looking at just 2 years that you can do while the Air Force pays for you to go or whatever branch you join, and you can have a bachelor's degree. And like you said, you can stay in or you can transfer that with your military training into the civilian world, however you want to do that. And I think, and that's a great segue to what I wanted to talk about next, is because you know, you hear the word Air Force, and everybody just assumes it's like the movies, and then it's just fighter jets and you know, the bombing and shooting and everything. And even though that is a part of the Air Force, it's actually a part of all the military branches. That is such a small part of what the Air Force actually does.
Mhm.
Right now, Air Force is on the cutting edge of technology training as far as IT, cybersecurity, information systems, meteorology, radars, communications, and it is literally, if you wanted to work in a technical field, you would get state of the art new technology training for 4 to 6 years, however you wanted, and then you can move into a civilian job making $175,000-$200,000 a year, and you have not paid a dime for that training. So, and I know you're a technical person as well. So, talk a little bit about how all that works, because I think a lot of kids don't understand. Air Force is not like the movies.
No, not at all. So when you get recruited, you'll get what's called an AFSC. And that's just like your job title. So before you even go to the recruiter, I think you should have like a legit plan on how you're gonna get a good score on your ASVAB, because a good score on your ASVAB means like it just opens up more job opportunities for you. So ASVAB for Dummies, look up YouTube videos on certain study materials you should get for the ASVAB, but the ASVAB is the key.
Yep.
Like I'd even go as far as to say like you should be focused on the ASVAB a little more than like no, actually focus on being in shape and having that good ASVAB score,
Yeah.
because you're gonna be doing a lot of running. But ASVAB, ASVAB,
Yeah.
ASVAB, ASVAB, because
And
if
all
you
of our
have
high
a
schools,
low
all of our high
ASVAB
schools in the
score,
district offer the ASVAB for free. So
mm,
even if you're not planning on going to the military, you know, when these schools, I know the JAG, MAV, and Titan Zone all offer it for free, as well as us here at Velma Jackson. Take advantage of that and have your options open. Because even if you don't want to go immediately, you can at least say, hey, I made really good on the ASVAB. I could qualify for this job in the military. I think it's important to have, you know, take the ACT seriously, take the ASVAB, be able to decide which one you want to do.
100%. I don't I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever seen someone take the ASVAB and like not study for it and just get like blow out like just like blow it out of the water or whatever, just pass it with flying colors. That's a lot. I have seen people like not some people just smart as hell, but study, study, study. If you don't think you got it like that, just study for it. ASVAB for
Yeah,
Dummies. Just do your
absolutely.
research. But and there are so many different jobs in the Air Force. I've heard of people singing in the Air Force or playing for like the Air Force band. They do have technology stuff like drones, cybersecurity, intel, all of that. Like it's real cool. But do your research on that too. Do your research on everything before you go in the military, because your job and what you get yourself into for that 4 year term is, once you get in there, you're in there, and you don't want to be miserable because you picked a job that you didn't want. But the reason why I say that is because a lot of people think like, oh, I'm going to do cybersecurity, I'm going to do intel, and then they find out that they're in a building with no windows, and you can't really talk to anybody about your job, and it's like top secret, because
Wow.
intel was like some secret stuff. So just do your research, study for the ASVAB, and that'll help you. So getting the high ASVAB score, that'll help you with with like having a variety of different jobs. Like it'll give you that much more of an advantage for you to like pick from a whole bunch of different jobs. Because if you get a low score, you only get like 2 or 3 different job offers. If that, they just straight up might not take you if you don't take the high. But and do your research, because you don't want to get into a job that you don't want to be into, because once you're in there, I mean, you can cross train after a little while, but yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds. Cross training isn't easy. I've only seen a couple people do it. So just make sure you get the job that you want.
Yeah, and now and two more things about the Air Force and the military in general is that your big thing also was that you were here in Camden and you wanted to get the heck out of Dodge. You wanted to see somewhere different, and you've lived and been to some incredible places that I've never been to, that I don't even know anybody else that's been to some of the places you've been, which is cool in itself. And then
I have,
also, if you're a sports person and like you said, you don't want to play college athletics, you get to stay in shape. You get to work out all the time. You have people to do it with you. It's not like you got to worry about, I can't motivate myself to exercise, because you have a group that'll do it with you and you have the opportunities for that. So it really does keep that athletic mindset to a certain extent there. But yet you were in Hawaii, you've been to the Philippines, Guam, that's just off the top of my head. So talk a little bit about that, because you literally have seen the world already.
I have I've seen a lot of different places. I think the only like country I haven't really explored was like Europe. That's about it. I've been a lot of places, but I love Camden. Love my family. Was just there like not too long ago, and real nostalgic. But traveling the world was definitely a plus for me. Getting in the military, that was like my favorite thing. I've been to Fiji, Guam, Japan,
Wow.
Philippines, um, just to name a few places. Hawaii, I was there for like 3 years. But that also depends on your job title. Your job title, what job you get into, th- that's basically gonna tell you how your life's gonna be in the military. Because if you join Intel, you might not get to travel as much as somebody that's like security forces. Like I'm security forces, and I get like I don't think there isn't a base that doesn't have security forces,
Mhm.
and we get these things called flyaways, like flyaway security. One of my first flyaways was to Indonesia,
Wow.
and Indonesia. But this wasn't like a good part of Indonesia. It was actually close to an ISIS hub.
Wow.
Back when ISIS was like up there, and we couldn't leave the plane or whatever. We weren't supposed to leave the plane, but it was the culture over there is different. Just the way the buildings are made, the way that people interact with each other. It's I think it's real good to interact with different cultures and stuff like that, because
Oh
like
yeah.
you go out there and you start to realize America isn't the only culture. This isn't what's normal here isn't normal everywhere else. It's crazy. It really is, and it's a eye opener. It makes you appreciate some of the things that we have and we take for granted here. And that's why a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't like Americans, because we have so much and we take a lot of stuff for granted. But traveling is
I couldn't
definitely
agree more with that sentiment. That is such a great point, and I think being in the military really does open your eyes to that. You get to experience
uh,
different things, but you can also see how good we have it here in this country. So I think I agree with you wholeheartedly about that. But and that's another thing you said. You were there in a dangerous area. If you're an adrenaline junkie, this could be the military could be the place for you, because they're always looking for people that like that kind of stuff. They need the people to jump out of the planes. They need the people to kick down doors and blow stuff up. So obviously that's a small part of it, but if you like doing that kind of stuff, they can find a spot for you.
I can't lay claim to that one. I can't lie and say like I was on some GI Joe type stuff, kicking down doors, and like security forces does do that, but I mean, fortunately, I haven't had to do that in like a real world scenario. Training, 100%. You go training somewhere, you kicking doors, shooting at each other with sim rounds. It's like a bullet, but like with paint in it. It still hurt though, and
I'm sure.
it's real cool. But yeah,
Now, and
traveling is.
before I get to the students' questions, are now at Tinker Air Force Base there in Oklahoma. So talk a little bit
Right.
about the daily life there on the base, because people
Mhm.
think it's like, again, like it's like the movies, but military bases have everything a normal city has. So just talk about how all that works if somebody is in military life.
Okay, in military life, um, so let's say you don't even live on base, so you live off base. You'll come through the gate, and you'll see a security forces member, which is me, and they'll scan your ID. You'll have a military ID, and they'll just make sure you're good to go on base. Because if you're not, they'll flag you. Like our security system will flag you and say like, oh, this person isn't allowed to drive, or this person, um, they're not, they have wants and warrants and stuff, or that something's keeping this person from coming on base, and then we'll take whatever action we have to take to get you to get that situation taken care of, because we're essentially MPs. So you get on base. The base isn't just the chow hall. It doesn't just have the chow hall. If you go to what's called a BX, that's a base exchange. They got Taco Bell, um, Popeyes, Charlie's, like it's a bunch of different fast food places. You don't even pay for tax when you go there. And we have what's called a commissary. I know that sounds like prison or whatever, but the commissary is actually a real good place for food and produce. It's basically just a grocery store.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like a lot of times, I'd rather go to the commissary than anywhere off base, because the commissary you get tax free as long as you're military. You get tax free
Wow.
on that too. And there's a lot of other things on base too, like the ITT office. Like if you want to plan out a trip somewhere, they'll help you plan it out. They'll have like special deals for like Disney World.
Wow.
What is it, Universal, like trips to Cancun and stuff like that.
Wow.
They'll have like stuff like that in there. Some bases, when I was in Hawaii, there was a beach on base. The
Woo.
base had a beach, and
Wow.
like, yeah, the base had a beach, and it had like this kayak service that you could go on.
No way.
100
That is
percent.
awesome.
Um,
Well, and the other thing we know, if you live on base, you're getting paid. You're not paying any bills. You may be paying a cell phone bill and maybe for some Netflix. That's really it. So it really is a way to, living on base right out of high school can save you a ton of money while you're getting paid.
that's ooh, yes, yes, yeah, because like you'll be living in the dorms as soon as you get out, and I don't think I've ever lived in like a bad dorm, especially being in the Air Force. I've had a good dorm, like AC. Um, Now that's in the Air Force specifically,
All right.
because
That's a
some
that's a
I've
that's a
heard
great point. But yeah, I agree.
I've heard in some different branches of the military they don't get um as good of a dorm living situation. Maybe the Navy though. But like
Yeah.
I've heard that like every time somebody came in my dorm and they weren't Air Force, it was just like, yeah, this is real nice. And it's like, thanks, I guess.
All
But
right. So I go ahead. Go ahead and finish. I'm gonna get to these questions.
okay. But yeah, that's life on a military installation, like non-work life or whatever. There's also like golf courses and stuff. Golf is a big thing in the military for some reason. But yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, it's almost like getting a college experience in the military. So I think that's something really, if kids are kind of on the fence, it's worth looking at. It's worth considering. And we also have, even down in Biloxi, Keystone Air Force Base. Once they finish basic training, they like having Mississippi students go to Keystone to do their tech school. So you don't have to go far away from home at first. So I think that's something to look at. But I do want to get to as many of these questions as I can. These are all seniors. The
Okay.
first one is Cody Myers. He's looking to join the military, so he had a question: is how do you adjust to the physical demands of basic training?
Well, when I was in basic training, I was like fresh out of high school. I can't say like I was the most athletic person in the world, but I did have pretty good cardio. And when I got in basic training, it was just like another day of football practice or running track or anything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you just gotta push through it, man. It's not like you're gonna die or something like that. You just gotta push through it. It's just running and push ups and sit ups and stuff like that. It's you know,
Yeah, and that's what I
just
try to
push
tell
through
people
it.
is that people say they're scared of basic training. The military wants you to succeed in it.
Mhm.
It's not like they're trying to make you quit. They want you there because they always need people. So it really is. I agree. 99% mental. It's all about about making yourself.
100%.
But that's a great point. This
I
is
guess what I'm
Patricia
trying to
Evans.
say is you can make it if you can make it through like a day of football practice or like through like track practice, you got it. Don't worry about
I
that.
agree.
Like
Yeah, and he plays basketball and runs track and does cross
he's
country. So
fine.
I think yeah, he'd be
Yeah,
fine. Now this is Patricia Evans. This is Patricia Evans, and she asked, "What is the biggest misconception about the Air Force?"
I think the biggest misconception about the Air Force is that you know what I can't even say. The biggest misconception about the Air Force is that we all fly planes. Like I've never flown a plane. Like I've
Yeah,
flown in planes a lot, but I've never flown one or piloted one. The Air Force isn't just planes. It's security, it's intel, it's firefighters. There's a big variety of
and
different.
so some of the most high tech technological systems on the planet.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
100%.
it is. I mean, yeah, the airport. I mean, the airplanes and stuff. That's the cool stuff we see in the movies, but that is such a small part of what the Air Force really does.
100%.
Um, this is Michaela Davis, and she asked, "What's some advice you could give to someone who's interested in joining the Air Force, and they wanted to do that for a chance to go to college for free?"
Okay. So the first thing you need to do is study for your ASVAB, get a good score on your ASVAB, and right after basic training, you'll go through your tech school and you'll already be getting college credits. Now, as soon as you get your job title solidified or whatever, and you leave tech school and you make it to your first base, and you you've gotten done with like all of the initial things that you need to do to get established at that base, you'll be able to start school right away. And that's you can start school online. You can do a CLEP or a Dante, which is like you go study a book and you just read through a book and then you take a test in a classroom and you automatically got college credits. It's
Yeah,
that simple. Doing school in the military is not a hard thing. So if you really want to do school, it's not complicated. They make it real easy and they even encourage it. So
yeah, that's what I
that's
said. I mean, again, like they want you to succeed in basic. They want you to further your education, especially since you're not paying for it. It really is, at least in my mind, in my opinion, the greatest benefit of the military is the having the ability to go to college for free, and be able to
100%.
use that to further your career, whether it be in the military or in the civilian world. I just got one more, and this is Kanala Banks, and she asked, "What is the hardest part about being in the Air Force?"
I think the hardest part about being in the Air Force is mm, I'm gonna say like the some mentally sometimes the Air Force can be challenging because even when I was in Hawaii, I got homesick. Like I wanted to go see my people. I wanted to like I had family members that just didn't understand that I couldn't just get up and go whenever.
Yeah,
And I'd be going to all these other places and they be people would think like, well, you can go over there, why you can't come over here? And it's
wow,
it's hard to sometimes it's hard to keep that relationship with your family. Um and sometimes it gets a little challenging when you get like a supervisor or an NCO or somebody that basically has a position over you and you don't like the person or they tell you to do something that you don't want to do and you got to do it anyway and that's what I'd say is the most challenging part about the military but everything else it's not hard. That's about it. And those things aren't really something that occurs often, not for me at least,
yeah, and, and
fortunately.
and I get it about the homesick part. I could see how that'd be difficult, but At some point, you have to take risk. You have to take risk on your future. You have to take risk on yourself. And I see so many young people, whether in the military or not, they do things based on what their family tells them to do, and then they wind up being unhappy. And I'm not saying don't listen to your family. I mean, their opinion should matter, but at the end of the day, you have to do what is best for you and coming out of high school, we got seniors going to see this. Coming out of high school, you have to make the decision that's best for you and your situation. And I would tell any person the same thing. You can talk with your family to get their opinion, but I don't think any person, no matter what their age, should do what their family says they should do, because at the end of the day, it's your path and your life. And I think it's really cool what you've done. Now we're almost out of time. And we thank you so much. And I speak for so many people. We are so proud to call you an alumni. We are just so proud the way you're serving our country and just representing Velma Jackson so well. And it's really a great testament to the students we have here. But before we go, you were walking these same halls with these same teachers, sitting in these same chairs, living in the same community, growing up with the same set of circumstances. But yet you have parlayed that into a career that not only serves our country, but it serves you well as in addition to that. And you should be very proud of that. So what can these kids do to follow in the same footsteps of someone like you that's from the same place that went to the same school?
Stay out of trouble. Please stay out of trouble. I hate I hate it when my homeboy Quinn Gray, he's doing amazing. You should get him on here too, Quinn Gray.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, he like IT stuff, like yeah, he's doing good. But I hate it when like I talk to him and like I say like, oh, how's so and so been? And he tells me like, oh yeah, he in jail or he got killed or something like that. Like, stay out of trouble, please, because a lot of this stuff ain't even worth it, man. Like, I know people want to just make money like real quick or do whatever, because life's hard sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to get a job, or it's hard to, I get it, but at the same time, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So like the military is definitely not, they have like a zero tolerance for stuff like that. So if they see that you have something like that on your record, they're not gonna accept you. Not the Air Force, at least. Study for the ASVAB. Study for the ASVAB. Make a good score on the ASVAB. I wish I could go back and like make a better score on my ASVAB, if I'm being honest. But like, make a good score on the ASVAB. Try your best. And even if you think your best isn't enough, still apply. You can't. They won't accept you if you don't apply. They can't accept you if you don't apply. Believe
take
in
advantage
yourself.
of when it's offered. Take advantage when it's offered. You may not even know what stuff you can qualify for until you take it. Even if military is down your list a bit, I agree. Take it serious and take it. You never know what options it could open for you.
100%, man. Because like a lot of people think like, oh, I'm not smart enough for that. Oh, I can't. Yes, you can. I promise you can. If you see some of the people I work with, you can. 100%. You can. Me personally, I don't think I was the smartest guy in the world. Like I think I'm kind of smart, but like, you can make it. I promise you can make it. Believe in yourself. You can make it 100%. Just because you're from where we're from, that doesn't mean anything. You can make it, I promise. And just stay out of trouble. That's like the main thing. Stay out of trouble. Study for your ASVAB. Make good grades in school. They want somebody that, if you got like a GED, it's that much harder for you to get into the military. Get your high school diploma. Make good grades. Stay out of trouble. Study for that ASVAB. That's all you got to do. That's all
awesome.
You got to do.
Well, again, thank you so much for making some time for us today. Michael Ford there in Oklahoma City, 2017 graduate of Velma Jackson High School. Thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to hear what you're doing out there.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, talk to you soon, my man. Appreciate it.
Nice talking to you, Coach. Take care.
See you.